I want to address why understanding ergodicity and how it applies to life and business is more important than ever, and why this understanding is in fact nothing new as it is rooted in most of humanity's oldest surviving cultures. For thousands of years, indigenous people and the world's oldest tribes have lived in harmony with nature's life cycles, intuitively practicing what we now identify as ergodic strategies. Through their connection to the land, these communities understood that life is inherently non-ergodic. It is unpredictable, path-dependent, and subject to natural ebbs and flows. Instead of fighting against these cycles, these communities embraced them, creating sustainable practices that preserved resources for generations, protecting the ecosystem and honoring all life within it. These cultures all shared three fundamental principles: respect, reciprocity, and relationality, enabling them to share resources and create inherently human and circular economies. These practices and processes were not built on perpetual growth or endless accumulation, but rather on balance, resilience, and the wisdom that all things are interconnected. This approach allowed indigenous communities to create thriving ecosystems that could absorb shocks, droughts, floods, and fires without collapsing. When one resource diminished, they leaned on another. When a community faced hardship, they shared and pooled resources, understanding that what impacted one would ultimately impact all. Now let's contrast this with modern economic theory. Much of what we see today is built on the assumption that resources are abundant, that businesses can grow indefinitely, and that wealth can be accumulated without long-term consequences. Mainstream economic models treat growth as ergodic, as if the paths to success are predictable and repeatable. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Our economic structures are based on false ergodic assumptions, ignoring the fact that most processes in nature and business are non-ergodic and multiplicative, where losses compound as quickly as gains. What we're left with is an extractive system that treats resources, both human and natural, as limitless, but we're now seeing the cracks in that foundation: rising burnout, resource depletion, and systems collapse. Modern business and economic structures are based on short-termism because they fail to account for these non-ergodic dynamics. The relentless pursuit of growth, as we know, leads to waste, fragility, and unsustainable practices. This course in Ergodicity is here to address this gap. We'd like to guide you in consciously recognizing these patterns to help you more strategically create systems that are anti-fragile, regenerative, and that honor ancient wisdom, as modern economic theory is not only limited but built on false assumptions. This course will dive deeper into ways that harness the complexity of our modern world and rebuild from a foundation that benefits all.